Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Lens presented by Jott-Nyx Paranormal. I am Jamie Widener. I will be your host for the evening. I will say I'll be your host with the most.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Chad, Chad is over here. Apparently, I have the most of nothing, the most of babble. Chad is the co-host with the most. So equal parts that way. Mr. Thomas, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I am. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm tired. So I think I had about 4 hours of sleep last night, and I just proved some of that. The cognitive decline of lack of rest. So if I start to nod off, just knock on the screen. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I'll wake up. Don't worry. Whew, I'll tell you though. You know how it goes. Busy, stuff to do, lots of things. It's the season, so
Yep.
just digging in. So,
Yep.
how about you? What's new? What's shaking?
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
buddy, Carmela, good evening.
about the same.
Yeah,
We had an investigation this past weekend.
I know. I was there.
You were there. I was there.
You were there. I was there. Um, it was a weird night.
It was very weird.
I don't know.
But
I don't recall having an evening as I'll say odd, not odd in a bad way, but just we had some really good guests. We were really intrigued and interested in the process with a mix of having been there, done that, and never done before.
mhm.
So yeah, that is a power nap. You're right, Todd and Carmela. I'll tell you, I felt like a nap. That's for sure, and it wasn't consecutive. I want to make that clear too. Uh, oof, just one of those nights.
Yep.
Um, but the energy of the mix of people is always intriguing what it brings,
Mm.
and there was a bit of a hiccup in the catacombs being occupied for most of the evening by a wedding setup, which some of
Yep.
the space that we get to use was not there, not available. But once the folks cleared, the activity picked up, and it was really interesting for that
Yep.
last session. It was down there. There was a ton of activity. So, which was your group, correct? Was
No,
that the
I was
yeah.
down there first, so
Okay.
I had
Yeah,
to
you
wait
had I
15
was
minutes
second, so
before
okay.
we can start. Yeah. But anyway, it was a good night. I didn't realize that we had a couple there, and maybe they said it, but I didn't remember. We had a couple there who was celebrating their anniversary.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and
Oh,
because they were posting pictures afterwards then of
okay.
what they'd done for their anniversary, and now we're Facebook friends, and they had a really good time and enjoyed it, and we're glad that we could entertain them, and they could learn things, and
All
so
right, cool. All
hey
right.
Kyle.
Hey, Kyle. Good evening. Oh, that's neat. I did not realize that. That's really well. I mean, we all make choices what we do with our anniversaries, right? And
Mhm.
most guys forget them and get in trouble. But forgetting is a choice, right?
That is
So,
correct.
yeah, sadly, bad choice. Um, this is why you always, always, always have a comfortable couch, just in case.
Just
You're
in
bound to forget something somewhere along the way. So,
hmm
you know.
So yeah.
Oh,
So and then we're again there next. We're there again next week. And
yes, so nice. We're gonna do it twice.
yeah, so
Right. Well, this is the special event we've been talking about coming up with our spectacular event and with Daryl Marston from Ghost Hunters and Ron and Lordez with the Staticom project and
mhm,
lots maybe a few other sneak in special stuff happening. So we'll talk more next week, of course. Especially because we have Daryl coming in to join us on that episode. But a recap and a review of what we experienced that night. Some new faces and new energies in the room. It's gonna be pretty
mhm,
exciting. So, and some old faces too, for that matter.
mhm.
So, yeah, some folks who've been there and done that. So,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of people next weekend. So
yeah, me too. Me very much so. And again, I'm wrapping myself in bubble wrap every day just in case. No injuries, no accidents, no breaks. Um, the last time we had a big fun event, I didn't make it. So, it's just playing the odds. So,
all right,
yeah. Well, speaking of odd things, right?
Heather. No, no, no.
Heather, you said it first, just for the record. Oh my gosh.
We
I'm gonna
love
tell
you,
you,
Heather.
I'm
So
gonna tell you something, Chad. I am having trouble reading this font.
all right. It says my anniversary and all dates are always about the paranormal.
Yeah.
Normally, it's even with both of you.
I think we may have celebrated a special event with you guys before. Yes, I
Yep.
agree.
So,
Which it's an honor, of course, to do so. Okay.
so yeah. A lot of buzz and excitement about this event coming up.
Yeah. Yep. T minus 4 days. That's right. And counting.
So, so anyway,
Yeah. Well, again, speaking of odd things, we have a bit of an oddity to talk about tonight. We are going to take a trip almost around the world, literally, to the Arabian Peninsula and to the country of Yemen. And in Yemen, in the kind of northeast corner, there is a place known as the Well of Barhout. And this is, let me move something here on my screen so I can see this a little better. There we go. All right. So, what it is, and what I need to do now is move you guys over here. There we go. All right. So, we'll figure this stuff out eventually. Although I just lost my script. So, hang on a second. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
while you're working on that, Bert says it's a very deep subject.
That it is. Well, actually, it is because it is one of those places that is incredibly deep. So I'm losing my script here. I'm going to close out a few things. Sorry, guys. Sorry. That's not what I need either. Man, all I did was slide one thing and I lost everything. It's crazy. Huh. Well, the the gist here, and as I try to catch up to my thoughts and such, is in the Yemen desert, there is a hole, like a better term, that is about 30 meters wide that has been there for probably a million years. And it has always had, as long as there has been population and civilization in the area, it has always had a mystique or an aura about it because it has been believed to be cursed. It is believed to be haunted. It is believed to have been the home of the jinn, which are the third race created under the Islamic faith. Humans being one, the gods, God Himself, and then the jinn. And they, though, live in an invisible world, or they are invisible to us in our world, which makes them very interesting. And the we did an episode back in season one. I want to say it was probably maybe 20 or 25 episodes in. So it's available. I know it's available on our streaming service stuff.
Episode 29.
29. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Way to go. Way to pull that out. Um, with that, though, the well is believed to be one of two things. One is the home of the jinn, a home for the jinn, or to have been created as a prison for the jinn.
Hmm.
Uh, it has a lot of superstition around it. Then, folks believe that if you get too close to it, or if you put things too close to the edge of it, it will be sucked in and drawn in. Um, and that has led to there are foul odors coming out of the depths of it, which leads to believe that when people have been sucked in, of course, the decomposition of people then being the thing that's happening, let's create the smell, and then. Um, it just keeps adding and adding and adding, and you're talking, a couple hundred years, 1,000 years, even of 2,000 years, probably of kind of mystique and lore. So let's take a look at it here. So here's an idea of it from the air. The slide shows the aerial view. It doesn't look like all that much from that height, but as we get a little closer, we'll definitely get some more visuals. So just to read a bit for you here, and bear with me, I'm going to have a bit of a story to tell, as usual. So on the far eastern edge of Yemen, far from any cities or well-traveled roads, there is a black mark in the desert, a giant eye peering up from the earth. Regardless of how odd it looks from above, it is a natural phenomenon, a perfectly round and profoundly deep sinkhole called the Well of Barhout, or the Well of Hell. It is easy to see why. Without the help of wings or long ropes, anything that disappears into its 367-foot deep hole is not going to come out. Let's move over one more slide, and we'll catch up there eventually. I'm in this new the new service provider we're using is beautiful, Chad, and it does wonderful things, but the transition of slides is incredibly slow. So bear with me. I'm trying to, I have things planned out on the old way of kind of moving here. Um, so I'm going to talk about the jinn a little bit more as we talked about at the beginning. So for centuries, sinister legends, and these are images of jinn. And of course, I put the genie in there from Aladdin because, why not? Um, we're probably going to get sued by Disney, by the way. Um, it's fine. It's on me. I'll take this one. So for centuries, sinister legends have swirled around the Well of Barhout. It is said that it is said that visiting or even talking, talking about it can bring bad luck. It's also said to be a prison for the uncontrollable jinn, a range of spirits that haunt Islamic mythology. The jinn, according to legend, will claim the head of anyone brave or foolish enough to descend to the bottom. Yes, the locals always told us about that, says geologist and caver Mohammed Al Kindi, matter of factly. They also mention wild animals. They mention strange sounds or people screaming below. They mention that the air there is really bad, so much so that you will not be able to breathe. But despite all those warnings, Al Kindi says he didn't feel any trace of fear before he recently became the first person to descend into the bottom and to come back up. His head remains attached to his body as well.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, it'd be weird getting a story from him otherwise. So here's some imagery of his descent. Uh, so on a hot, clear September day, Akindi and 6 other members of the Omani Caves Exploration Team, or OSET for short, parked their four wheelers, yards from the cave's open maw. After an hour and a half of setup, Alkindi, who had twice tried to make the descent before, was the first of 5 team members to rappel in. The setup was actually quite easy, he says, because it's just a single drop. The rope doesn't touch the rock face at all. As soon as I went down the first 30 meters or 100 feet, I could start seeing the details of the cave and its formations. I would be able to see if it had wild animals, crocodiles specifically, he added with a laugh. One local had suggested he might find them down there. Crocodiles in the desert. Yeah, you never know. It was a very happy moment just going down, enjoying the scene. That is, until he reached the end of his rope, which was about 50 feet before the cave floor.
Oh no.
Luckily, I had a walkie talkie with me, he says, and he called for help for a longer rope to be set down. So he made it to the bottom. Actually, there was a concern more sinister than reptiles and spirits when Al-Kindi finally reached the bottom. Unexploded ordnance. Since 2014, Yemen has been in the midst of a bloody civil war, and Al-Kindi explains pilots sometimes drop bombs into caves since people seek shelter inside. So that got me worried a bit, he says. Apart from that, it was a very enjoyable moment. And the idea of him being at the bottom here is pretty cool. That's just such a neat picture.
Mm-hmm.
In total, the team spent around 4 to 5 hours exploring the bottom of the sinkhole. There are loads of beautiful cave deposits, says Alkindi, including stalagmites, stalactites, and even cave pearls, formed the same way stalagmites do, except in the presence of flowing water, gleaming beneath underground waterfalls. It also has its own kind of ecosystem, said Alkindi, with toads, snakes, beetles, birds, and lizards. For Alkindi, the whole experience was quite spectacular. The goal of the expedition was to make the first documented study of the sinkhole, but dispelling the dark air that's hung around the geological formation came with the territory. There's long been rumors of terrible odor rising from the depths of the well, for example. Alkindi says that most of the cave smells fine, except for certain areas, and that's only because there are some birds that died and fell down into the floor, and obviously, as they decompose, they smell bad. The snakes they saw are also normal features, a normal feature in sinkholes. Once they work their way down, there's a smorgasbord that falls from above, and few or no predators to keep their numbers down. I kind of visualize this to be like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark when Indy goes down into the thing and the pit, and all the snakes. And snakes, why's it got to be snakes?
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, um, something like that. While the opening at the top of the sinkhole was about 98 feet across, the cave widens to 380 feet at its base. The 367-foot deep cave passes through 2 layers of rock, Alkindi says. The top layer, about 200 feet thick, is porous and permeable, allowing water to filter down to a second, less permeable level. at which point it flows into the cave, creating four 150-foot waterfalls.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can imagine that. Just the sound it makes, too, that much water dropping. So, for millennia, this water is said to have been poisonous. Even the Prophet Muhammad knew better than to mess with it. In a hadith, a saying attributed to him, the Prophet warns the worst water on the face of the earth is the water at the Wadi Barhout in Wadi. Man, here we go. Wadaramat, which is like locust in comparison to other pests. It gushes in the morning and is dry by the evening.
Hmm.
When asked if the water is poisonous, Al-Kindi laughs. Well, apparently not. I'm still alive. He drank at least a bottle of it while he was down there. I also took samples and analyzed it with some colleagues in one of the local universities here in Oman, he adds. It's very fresh, very normal water. Sam Lasman, an expert in Middle Eastern literature at the University of Cambridge, says that most of the well's sinister reputation likely comes from its 7th century hadith. In the 9th or 10th century, this hadith gets interpreted into the idea of a barzakh, which is sort of like the Islamic limbo, he says. The souls of good people go to Zamzam, the best water in the world, and the souls of unbelievers or wicked people go to Barhout, the worst water in the world. Over the course of several centuries, Barhout shifts from a place of poisonous water to a place for sinful souls. Personally, I don't think anything like what is described in the hadith exists, says Al-Kindi. I think the caves have normal features, including another site which has been saddled with the infamous Barhout name. The term also might apply just to the region of Yemen. Al-Kindi estimates the sinkhole could be several million years old, but its origin too is a subject of local legend. One legend says that an ancient king forced Jinn to carve the well as a place to hide his treasure. Think about Aladdin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cave. Yeah. So maybe.
Mm-hmm.
In others, the well has always served to contain evil, uncontrollable jinn. In Islam, jinn are one of the three classes of intellectual beings, says Lasman, alongside humans and angels. While angels are bound by God's will, jinn and humans possess free will. Humans are created from blood and earth, while jinn are created from smokeless fire, says Lasman. They occupy an invisible world known as in the Quran as Al-Ghahib. They have this sort of ethereal, sometimes almost intangible quality. They're thought to be shapeshifters, he says. Like humans, jinn have the capacity for both good and evil. And the jinn in the well were of an evil choosing sort, known in Islam as the Ifrit. While most of the sinister reputation of the well can be explained by the hadith and its frankly intimidating appearance, it's not entirely clear how it got associated with jinn, but that's also not a huge mystery. The association of jinn with scary places, dark places, subterranean places, vermin-infested places, that's everywhere in Islamic stories, says Lastman. Jinn can also disguise themselves as other creatures, in particular snakes or insects. Al-Kindi guesses that there were local legends swirling around the cave long before the prophet's hadith. If people don't know about a place and if they can't reach it, they will invent around it all kinds of stories, he says. Sometimes they do that for a reason. Maybe they want to prevent their kids from going there. Maybe they want to tell someone that we go down to this place, for instance, you will get support from jinn or ghosts or whatever. We've heard those stories too, right, Chad?
Yes, we have.
You know, telling the tale so you scare your kids straight, all that
Yep.
stuff. Yep. Never did it myself once. Never. Throughout the world, different cultures have their own version of jinn, human-like creatures that exist in parallel unseen world. From Japan's Onro to La Pastola in Colombia to Ireland's Tatham de Danann, such creatures, Lastman says, offers a framework for understanding physical illness, mental illness, history, foreignness, variety of sorts of social mysteries, social traumas, and social obsessions in ways that a lot of cultures find helpful. Certainly, the Osset team and their mission to the bottom of the well of Barhout won't eradicate the millennia-old belief in Al-Ghahib and the beings who are said to reside there, but it will serve as an educational purpose. Al-Kindi says at one point a crowd of 80 locals had gathered around to watch the cavers. At first, they were full of warnings, but when Al-Kindi resurfaced unharmed, they gathered around, asking what he had seen. Al-Kindi answered their questions, showed them photos, and even gave them samples of water in cave deposits. As news of the expedition has spread, Al-Kindi says, the findings have reassured people. What we did here, I think, is essential because we changed people's minds at least about one of these places.
Cool.
Interesting. So, a few thoughts. While there isn't any evidence of jinn or other mystical presence within the Well of Barhout, it will always be a subject of folklore and mystery there. The work of OSET to explore and map it will go a long way to debunking the claims of its paranormal activity. But as we often say with our Jott-Nyx paranormal team, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
True.
I'd like to cite a couple sources. Atlas Obscura, our good friends there, and vise.org are the two main sources for this.
Okay.
You want to discuss a little bit?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff there, right?
Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous.
It
Like,
is. It is so cool. What I want to say about this, and it's interesting because it's a very deep hole in the ground, right? And it doesn't have the ability for you to climb down because of the way it opens and kind of recesses beyond the opening. So you have to have, as they showed, you have to rappel. So locals wouldn't be able to do that readily or handily, and especially where this is in like literally the middle of nowhere. This is the only hole like this in the world. There are several. And what I found really interesting, and I believe it's in either Wyoming or Montana, there is a hole that is so deep, people have been trying to fill it for years, if not centuries, with just stuff, brush, appliances, the modern era.
uh,
Anything that they could throw in it, they've thrown in it, and it still hasn't. They've never heard anything hit the bottom, which I
interesting.
think is fascinating.
Uh-huh.
Now with drones and everything else, we're starting to understand what it really is, and it is essentially a very large cavern. But there's also one like it in Russia and Siberia. And there's been several actually open in Siberia, sinkholes basically opening up, with these huge cavern sets underneath them. That as you stand and see, and you drop something, you expect to hit the bottom, right? Nothing hits after you wait and you wait and you wait. And there's some physics involved in this. Like you can tell, like the time something drops, how long it is, and how far. I'm not smart enough to do that math. Um, but when you don't hear it hit the bottom, you have no method of doing the calculation at all. So
Right.
you think it's like a bottomless pit. Um, and that's where mystery and mystique grow from these kind of places. Because we can't physically see it, therefore it must be something unique.
Right. It's definitely I mean, like you said, it's got its own biosphere basically. It's you know, it's it's got its own water source. It's got it doesn't get a lot of light, but it looks like
Yeah.
there's definitely enough light to get plants growing, and
Yep.
um it's just it's really cool. I mean, I wish it's one of those places you could just go visit. Um but you don't want to turn it into a tourist thing because then it would
Right.
be destroyed. But yeah.
Well, it's only a matter of time, I think, until somebody says road trip, right? Um, it is. It literally is. First of all, Yemen's a dangerous place.
Right.
There has literally been civil war for 10 years and longer than that. But different factions fighting for control and dominance and all that.
Yeah.
There is not a part of the country that's been untouched. And a lot of folks, as you move away from the major cities, you get into the desert, you get into the more nomadic lifestyle folks, and even there though, nothing's been untouched by this. And
Right.
it's been bad. Um, and with respects to that, it's not a safe place for us as Westerners, to travel to.
Right.
So as much as I'd like to, yeah. And remember, it says, um, too far in the country is too dangerous for a road trip. Yeah, you're correct, sir. I agree completely with that one. Um, but it's on the list, right? We can dream. A different day, a safer time.
Yeah.
And and that paranormal plane we keep talking about getting. Uh, you know,
Well, maybe someday too. It'll be a virtual a virtual trip that we can do. With the
that's true.
drones but Wyoming is doable.
Wyoming is very doable, except in the wintertime. Nope, not doing
So,
that.
but it sounds like that cave hasn't been explored.
It
So,
not that I can tell, no. But as we are progressing again with technologies and um, more and more drone technology, better drones. You know,
mhm,
the problem is, when you descend into these kind of things, it's like how much signal can you carry?
right.
So they often have cameras on them, but if you want to do anything live, you're gonna have to wait for it to come back. And of
Yeah.
course, you lose the drone for some reason, then you have no idea what's going on. That makes it even worse, right? It's
Right.
creepier.
So, Jamie, can you imagine being the guy who was rappelling down there, the first guy rappelling down there, and he comes to that knot at the end of his rope? Hopefully, he had a knot at the end of the rope.
Hopefully, yeah.
Have you ever done any rappelling or anything like that?
Oh, it's been a very long time.
Okay.
Very, very long time. It
So,
was probably 30 years ago.
so,
And
and doing a 200, like if he was 50 feet above the bottom, so he was probably using a 250-foot rope. I mean,
yep,
that's a specialized kind of rappelling. It's not just a regular figure eight
yeah.
sort of thing. But yeah, can you imagine that? So, uh,
Well, and the thing is, with respects to, we see these in movies all the time where somebody's like, "Hey, pull me up," and no one's there, and you got to do that manual climb. I'm assuming he has equipment to help him move up,
yeah.
but uh, just to be there at the end like that and just dangling, the
Mhm.
view had to be pretty cool. Like if we pause for a moment, I'm sure there's no panic. He's got a team,
Right.
it's not like he fell that far, like he slipped or something. He and landed at the end of his line. He got there on purpose,
Right.
and then the whole pause moment of just waiting. You're just hanging there, just looking around, and that
Mhm.
had to be a really cool moment. That's the best view right
Yeah.
there, kind of thing. 50 feet is 5 stories essentially. You're on the rooftop looking around
Yeah.
of a building. Says that had to be really neat.
Hmm. And then it would have gotten old real fast.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Those witnesses are not comfortable. So,
Are we
but
there yet? Are we there yet? Are we
yeah,
there yet?
but it's definitely. So it was a team of what, six? Did you say that went down?
There's six in total. Yep.
Okay. Bert says
Well,
that's you better hook my butt to a winch kind of repelling. So yeah.
yeah, I can understand.
So I mean, I think it would be an amazing experience, and like you said, they sort of debunked the paranormal, but and at that situation, do we really think it was paranormal to begin with?
Well,
Yeah.
this place had a smear campaign essentially, and I'm not
Mhm.
talking crap on the Prophet Muhammad or anything, but he kind of gave it a bad name,
Mm,
which therefore it has a bad name,
right.
and um, I found it really interesting, more so than the jinn, but also the place where the unbelievers would be sent, so like, you think about heaven and hell that way, and that's why it's the well of hell,
Right.
as another name. So.
But
Um,
again, here we're looking at a religion that is trying to keep people away from a dangerous place because it is a 300-foot drop into
Well,
the
no, it's more than that. It's more than that, though. I agree. Physically, yes, I agree with you completely. But it is also the whole belief that if you do well, you do good, and you follow the path, you will be rewarded. And if you don't, you won't.
right.
So and that's not unusual for any religion of the world,
No,
right?
no.
We're all there. Everybody has their version of heaven and hell.
Mhm.
Um, but the idea is that this is a physical place, where others are ethereal. They're above and below. It is below, but there's an actual opening. With respects to that. So you, I don't know if someone's just going to take you there and chuck you in or what. It's kind of maybe.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So it's not normal, therefore it must be paranormal. You're right, Bert.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun to look at the history like that, from the perspective, and the jinn are. It was one of my more favorite episodes we did last season. It was fun to research and all the classifications of jinn,
Hmm.
all the different types there are. I think there were six or seven different types of jinn. And I think you did the Yurei. In
Right.
Japan, the same thing. The spirits there, their classifications, and each one does a different role or title and position. So there's like a hierarchy. With this, the good jinn were elsewhere and the bad were here. So it keeps
Right.
adding to that negativity all of this, this particular place. And it's essentially because it's a big dark hole. Nobody knows what's down there, so it has to be bad. Just that binal fear that we all
Mhm.
have of the unknown was there.
Hmm. Yeah. I'd still like to go visit, but bypass the country. Just visit there.
Yeah, and just land in and land it and take out. But
I got
at
to.
a 90 feet wide opening, you can probably land something pretty big, like a helicopter in there. So you wouldn't want to. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That's the preservation of the resources and everything that would totally destroy things. But
Hmm.
it's fascinating. That's such a big opening as well. That's a huge diameter, and
Yeah.
that's also why you see it from such a distance. It's obvious. All right, here's Bert. I agree. I love the world oddities. I'm addicted to Expedition Unknown. Yep, and this week the new season started last week there, so they were at Petra, nearby in Jordan. So that was episode one was of a two-parter. So new episode tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Going to be there too. I'll be there. It's already recording. Got to record. So
Not that we're
yeah,
promoting them or anything, but
I want to say this. I completely agree with Bert. And then one of the things, when I was young, what I wanted to do was go into archaeology because of places like this and because of opportunities like this, the unknown, the unexplored, the places no one's been before, the unique things of the world, and there aren't many left. The
right.
world has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and technologies have advanced so much that we don't always need to have boots on the ground anymore. LiDAR scanning,
Yeah.
um, over Central and South America have opened up so much stuff that's under the jungle, that was there in many of the lost civilizations that have passed on.
Did
We're
did you
finding things every day.
did you
It's really
see?
cool.
There was a report, I believe, in the last week of a new discovery that is changing our understanding of the whole South American um, social structure.
I
Like
have not. So
they're
I'm busy apparently. Sorry. Do
no,
tell.
no, just I don't remember all the details, but it was cities and roads, and like it wasn't a small civilization. It was a
Oh, sure.
large civilization, and again, here we go again, something that's just been overgrown by a jungle. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Well, not
the
too
earth
long ago,
is
there was a secondary road found to Machu Picchu that was never known to be there before because of LiDAR scanning. And there's only one path kind of thing before, which is the main way in. And that's why it was unexplored or undiscovered for so long. But now, with technology, we found there's more than, and there should be more than one way to get there. If
right.
at all possible, it would make sense. Um, so it's fascinating to me that we are moving so far away from physically showing up with a spade and a strainer, and crawling around in the dirt a lot, which is still necessary once something's discovered. But the finding of the locations is so much more advanced now and easier to do.
Right.
And every one of these places has come with some kind of a story about it as well. A curse, a protectant spirit of some kind. There's all kinds of stuff in the local mythos, that is meant to scare, again, you and I, being the stranger, from going there. And
Right.
even those who are in that community around it or near it, the same way. It's just scaring your kids straight. It's fascinating. It doesn't matter what corner of the world you're in.
Right.
It's the same.
Hmm.
That's amazing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know that we can say paranormal or not, but I'll ask. What do you think?
I don't think it's. I mean, it's not normal. You don't get big sinkholes in the middle of the desert that have I think that's what intrigues me. You've got you're in the middle of the desert, but underneath the desert, you've got what looks like a very lush.
It's a different zone there
It's
than
a
it is
different,
above.
yeah. It's just
Yeah.
like it's not arid. You've got all this groundwater is feeding these. What do you say? Four waterfalls
Or waterfalls. Yep.
and just yeah. So it's not normal. I don't think it's paranormal. I don't think it's what we really classify as paranormal. It's an oddity, and it's a very cool oddity.
Yeah.
So
I'm in the same spirit with you, pun intended. um, yeah, I want it to be more. I really do, and I love the idea that it's all of the context around Jinn, especially the prison idea, like and the created to hide treasure, for a king. Those are so cool. I mean, that's the storyline out of Aladdin.
right,
Um, and I'm forgetting the cave, but that whole mystique of it. Had to have a special entrance to get in. Uh, it would be neat, to have all that be true, at least somehow be true.
hmm
But again, it's such fantasticalism. I just made up a
hmm
word. I don't know, I'm tired. Um, but yeah, it's so cool to think that it could be, and that's the thing that I think that draws the continuation of the folklore of it.
right,
Even though the Osset team is working with the locals to, for lack of a better term, debunk
right,
the stories, but we know plenty of people who've been presented with facts and truths about something and still choose to believe something else, and that's cool. That's
right,
what you want. That's fine. I have no qualm about that. Um, you know, but the true thing about the paranormal is that we have yet to be able to factually
right,
prove. We have a lot of evidence and we have a lot of information, but we truly haven't gotten that physical thing yet that says this is it. And
right,
that's what drives, I'll tell you from my perspective, that's what drives me back every time to an investigation, regardless of where it is the potential that would be the opportunity, for that capture of evidence and information that will help move the field away from the shadows and into something more significant and trusted. You know, I think a lot of people still think about us as those people who walk around in the dark and talk to themselves, and it's not untrue, right?
right.
Because we do, but and it's a hobby versus something more significant.
hmm
And we'll find this out Saturday, with Ron and Lourdes and Staticom, how far technology can take us into capturing things that are more substantial and more cognitively clear than anything we've gotten so far. And I'm really excited to see that process because, I think that's where we're going. The future is in things of that nature.
Right. So Todd and Carmela have a question here. Would you camp out overnight in it?
Whew, snakes, lots of snakes. Um, yeah, yeah, I would. I mean, again, snakes. Without snakes, yes. I don't see any reason not to. I mean, if you go back to what's there, there's really no predators to humans. Like there's nothing that will harm us directly other than snakes. Um, probably some scorpions, things like that are not uncommon for the desert anyway. Birds come and go kind of thing because they're not bound by climbing out of the cave or the,
Right.
the well. So
But are
realistically,
they? Because it's how deep it is.
what's that? I'm sorry.
But our birds sort of locked in there because of how deep it is.
Maybe. I mean, it's 300 feet, so I mean, it's really doable for a lot, depending on the bird, I guess. But if you can get to a place and you have water, so you have sustenance, obviously, and it's going to be cooler in the well than it will be on the surface of the desert. So that's another plus. So yeah, I would absolutely would. Um, it's just then to make sure nobody takes the rope away,
So
get me back out.
I'm gonna try something here. We have some new features available with
Okay.
our new streaming thing.
Okay.
Um, I'm going to put up a poll,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
if you in the comments you're supposed to be able to do hashtag option A for yes I would, or hashtag option B for no way. So if you guys want to try that out, we'll see what you guys think.
All right, here we go.
So I'm not guaranteeing it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. Anyway, while we're looking at that, wasn't there
Yeah,
a Brendan Fraser movie where they went to the center of the earth, Journey to the Center of the Earth?
there was, and there was. Oh, Bert, you and I are old. And Don't Chad, you too. We're old enough to remember Land of the Lost, right?
Uh huh.
TV show back in the '70s with the Slee Stacks and all that stuff. There's a vote. Thanks, Todd Carmela. So that's a yes as well. All
And
right.
look at
So
that, we're updating. Yeah.
now we need a camp out night, right? So um, on top of everything else, um, there's been a few things, whether it be movies, production movies or TV shows through the years about getting to the center of the earth and finding another ecosystem, another, whole thing. Like dinosaurs still exist, all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
Technically, the Matrix movies are getting to the center of the earth as well.
True.
Where the last remnants of the human race are, that are in the Matrix are safe and protected, but still being, hunted by the machine things, whatever they are. It's been a while since I saw it, but that idea that the center of the earth is a different thing altogether is been documented through all kinds of media through the years. It's pretty cool.
Hmm.
I love how the pie chart is adjusting as we get answers here too. This is
Uh-huh.
really neat, Chad. Way to go!
So,
But once again, Chad Thomas to the rescue.
hey, this is just all there. So we had to find
Let's
it. So,
go.
but it is cool.
Once again, you found it though, so thank
So,
you. That's
so
neat.
we have some intrepid campers apparently. So we've
All
got
right,
4 people who want to go camping there. So,
I will bring the s'more stuff.
well, that makes 5 and 6 because they're not.
That's true. No,
So,
we're not in the survey.
but but yeah, well, definitely an interesting story, Jamie. So,
Well, thanks. Yeah, I thought so too. And as I went through this, I wasn't sure how paranormal it would be. But bringing the gin and the other folklores of the bad things there, and the fact that it got the bad rap from Muhammad, that kind of put the stamp on it for a long, long, long time is kind of cool. Um, so yeah, well that'll be my story. I'm going to stick to it, sir.
all right. Well, should we talk about what's coming up?
Yeah,
All right. So coming up, we next week, and I did confirm with him today. So we've got Daryl Marston.
I voted. I
He-
voted. Yay!
we got Daryl Marston with an investigation follow up from this weekend. He voted for me too.
Well, we're the same, so we're both Jott-Nyx paranormal, apparently.
Um, so that's next week. It should be a fun thing, and Daryl's got plenty of stories. So
Oh yeah,
even if
You're-
we have a very quiet investigation, Daryl's got plenty of stuff to tell us.
yep, absolutely. And I've said this before, and I will say this again and again and again. This Daryl Marston is one of the most real people in the field. He's a genuine individual, and having had the pleasure of being around him a couple times at investigations, he takes his craft seriously, but he also has he has a well of information. He has a well of information and knowledge from all the places he's been and all the things he's done through the years. But
Mhm.
he also has he's a good dude, and I think he'll bring some light to our episode. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. So then after that, in a completely different follow up, we've got Ron Iacovetti and Lourdes Gonzalez, and we'll be talking about what they've come up with Staticom. And they've got some updates to Staticom, so that we've plenty to talk about with them as well.
Yeah,
Um, so that'll be another good show,
that'll be a return for them to come back to us as well.
right?
Being about this time last year, I think when early November instead. I'm sorry, almost a year
Yes.
ago. So a lot of things have changed.
Hmm.
Very looking forward to catching up with them.
Yep. Then the week after that, November into November already. Where has time gone?
Yeah.
Um, November 5th, I'm going to dig into the Mount Washington Hotel, which is it's got some interesting history, that's for sure. Princess Caroline resided there quite a bit. I'm not sure if you know who that is,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, she spent a lot of time there, traveled back and forth between there and I believe it was France where she was princess. Could be wrong on that, but just starting to dig into it.
She's a princess somewhere.
Yeah, but she she the she, sh the bed that she had traveled with her. That's how much she liked her bed. So it was able to break down and travel with her, and it was set up every time she came back. So uh, very interesting stories there. Then after that, you're going to be talking about Rose Mackenberg.
Yep,
Okay,
I will. Do I need
um,
to tease that at all? Do we tease it?
go for it.
Okay. So Rose is a person, um, and who was quite alive. So this is not a she is not a paranormal case, but her work with Harry Houdini is where they were, and Houdini. I don't know if anybody. We should do an episode on Houdini, I guess, too, at some point. But um, Houdini had a keen interest in the paranormal, specifically in seances, table tipping, all the divinity, the divination type things.
Hmm.
But he also realized there was a lot of fraud, and unfortunately, with losses of his own in his life, he did not want others to be subject to false hope, false pretense, and he went to about casting some individuals to help him debunk and decertify, if you will, individuals who were fraudulently taking advantage of people.
Hmm.
Especially knowing that they had significant loss and hardship. So Rose was one of his. One of these individuals, and she was one of the more prominent ones who stayed with him for quite a number of years. So we're going to talk about her, Houdini, a little bit, and the process they went through. So some cool stories there.
Okay. After that, I'm going to jump into the Queen Mary, which is another one where there's lots of history and stories about that one. And
Lots.
then after that, you're going to do Great Lakes Triangle.
Yeah. Again, all you need are 3 points and some spooky stuff in between. You got a triangle. So
Exactly. So
they're everywhere.
so a lot of interesting things coming up, and that'll take us through most of November.
Yeah.
Actually, all of
Gosh.
November, I think.
Yep,
And
it will.
then we'll be into December. We got a couple of things. We're trying to figure out some stuff for December yet, but
Yep.
we'll get it up there. Again,
There's always more to come.
yep. Um, we've got the Spooktacular coming up this weekend. We don't need to go too much into that because uh, we've covered quite a bit of that. And are you reading Bert's comment?
No, 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 it's not. That would be Proud Mary, sir. But close. Close. I'm sure there's a version.
Yeah, I'm
One of those things like where the bathroom is on the right, instead of the bad moon on the rise. Um,
sure.
I
So
can understand where you might get that mistaken.
anyway,
Misquoted lyric.
um, following up with Todd and Carmela here, since we're on this slide right now.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the shows. Nice show and topic, gentlemen. See you both Saturday. Do we need to bring equipment? That's totally up to you. We
Yeah.
have equipment, but if you have equipment, you're more than welcome to bring it and use it and see what you can find. The more equipment we have, the more chances we have of.
Absolutely. The more the merrier that way. I'd always say, and, we have a plethora of things, but having everything out there is always a good thing too. So feel free. It's your choice. You can bring it and not use it. That's up to you as well.
Right. So then after that, we only have two more investigations this year, Jamie.
Whew,
It's
that's
hard to believe
crazy.
we're wrapping up the year already.
I remember sitting here doing an episode near the end of last year and realizing about the same, for time. And I thought, how did the year go by? And next year will be slower, simpler. No,
No, no.
it's blown by once again, as
Yeah.
all years seem to do.
Well,
Um,
and
amazing.
I'm sure most of you know that I have a senior who spends time at Jamie's house as well. But it was homecoming this weekend. It was the realization that this was Zoe's last homecoming, and
Yeah.
just time just keeps going by. It keeps
It
rolling.
does.
So, and yes, we need more equipment. We always need more equipment. So,
True story.
so
Yeah,
uh,
and Ted, I appreciate that. And this weekend was one of those moments over here as well, where we realized it was the first of one. It was one of the first of the lasts.
mhm,
Homecoming coming first, and now we're going into the fall play, and which is a big event for us. And with Zoe,
mhm.
the holidays, or kind of like that afterwards thing, and
Yeah.
then
You
jump
got,
right into the spring and the
well,
spring musical and
maybe we have Christmas
um,
or holiday concerts and all that. Like it's
yeah,
just,
the holiday stuff. Oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about the shows, those shows.
yeah.
Maybe on purpose. I don't know. It's so neat though, and it's what a great kid you got. So
Yeah.
she's got it all figured, and she's level headed. She's done very well with all of this, and
Yeah.
she had a blast this weekend. I can tell you that. So
Yeah. Yeah, she did. So,
we talked about it last night. It was she couldn't stop smiling. So
yeah. Well,
oh, to be young, oh, to be young again, right?
spent 6 hours in the car with her. So,
Yeah, that's true. That's right. I forgot about that. So
3 hours talking because she was taking her friend home. But,
right.
but anyway.
Yeah, I got quite a lot last night. So that was really cool.
So, and Heather said, "We'll see you on Saturday. Can't wait to meet Todd and Carmela in person." So,
Absolutely,
I
me
think
too.
everybody here is going to get along well. I know I think I've met most of the people here. So we're
Yeah,
all,
you,
yeah,
you are our social butterfly. So
yeah,
who knew, right? Who knew?
exactly. So,
It's all good.
so here are our socials. You found us already. We've got Instagram. TikTok should be picking up again. I know Kirsten said that she was going to start working there more.
Good, good, good.
Um, she's got not too much on YouTube other than the show, but Instagram and um, we're always looking for email. Still waiting for some real not junk email. That's at
Hey,
paranormal.
hey, hey! That YouTube one was not junk. That was. They were very concerned about us.
Well, let me finish this up. It's paranormal lens podcast at gmail.com. Um, so what Jamie's referring to is we posted the episode of the Japanese suicide forest.
Say it, Chad.
I
Say it.
Nope, I don't even have it in front of
Say
me.
it.
You can say it.
Aoki Gahara.
Okay.
I can
And
say it because I said it like 6,000 times in that episode. Um,
and the next morning, I woke up the next day. I woke up like 6 o'clock and checked my email, and there was an email from YouTube saying, because we actually do post these on you post the podcast on YouTube as well. That's the one I always forget. Um, Saying that they were concerned about something we had posted, and that if we needed help, that there's somebody's out there to reach out to, and it was like, oh, that was
well,
nice.
it is nice. Someone actually, was concerned. I appreciate that.
So yeah, um, on
Yeah,
that.
and well, to add a little bit more, so with respects to where we are here with Facebook and YouTube, on our live episodes on Tuesday nights, the rest of tomorrow afternoon, early afternoon anyway, this will be uploaded to all of the streaming services. So if you are finding us later, you know you're welcome to join us on a Tuesday at 9 if you can. But we'll definitely get up with all of our stuff coming afterwards. It's kind of one of those things with the networks. It's live one night on regular airtime, and it's on Hulu the next. It's kind of like that. So you don't have to be here to catch up. But if you are catching us elsewhere, please, please, please leave us a comment. Leave us some information on how you felt about the episode. Folks are here with us or dropping in comments and so forth. But if you're out there in the world and you're catching us later, we'd love to hear your feedback as well. It's important to us to let us know how we're doing. If you're like, you guys are great, that's great. We love that, of course. Who doesn't like to be told you're great? But if we're missing the mark or something else we could be doing, we'd love to hear about it too. We're always in the constant improvement process. What can we do better? How can we do better? The transition to this new streaming service that we're on, as far as how we present, it was a nice upgrade. Helped us out. It's doing much better for us. So, and leave some stars if you can. We'd love to get over a couple reviews just to give us some. Again, if you don't want to leave a comment, you can leave stars, leave a review wise. Please let us know. It matters. We really appreciate you. And thanks. Regardless of what you do, thank you, everybody, regardless of how you found us. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. We try to have fun with these episodes, and feedback helps. But just knowing that you're out there, it really helps us too. So,
Mhm.
everybody, have a great week. And we look forward to seeing you next week with Daryl Marston as our special guest. So I think I can say until then. Chad, any last thoughts?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right.
Jamie, well, yeah, I do. Thank you for putting this together. Like I said, it was pretty interesting, something I didn't know anything about.
Sure, of
So,
course.
and I found out we've got a bunch of campers in the group. So,
Yeah, who knew?
so, so yeah, here we go. So, All right. Well, we will see a bunch of you on Saturday.
Yep.
And if we don't see you Saturday, we will see you here next week. Same time, same station, all that fun stuff. So,
Yep. Good night,
all
all.
right. Good night. Thank you.